Hey, you guys, we're doing a special broadcast. Let me switch up. Let me switch this. Here we go. You know, it's a strange thing today, and a strange thing tonight. We're doing a special broadcast. Vic isn't here, so I'm attempting to run everything myself, which, because of the way we do things nowadays, is so specialized that it's not quite as easy as it used to be. But we should be able to do fine here. I think we got everything going right now. Yeah, we're going to have Mac call in a little later. It's kind of, Mac, I'm going to pull up the chat room because for a minute, to get over there to the phone thing is what the issue is. But we'll work this out. Oh, what happened? I lost the video. Oh, there it went. Okay. All right. So you guys, let me tell you what this is a special edition broadcast. It's a special edition broadcast, and you were listening to Mac McAllister, G&M Bureau Chief. What you were listening to is actually Online with Mac, Retro Jazz and Blues, which is a show which is hosted weekly by Mac McAllister. And Mac McAllister is in the chat room. And we're going to get him on the phone, too, later on in the broadcast when we do probably Mac, at least for the tour. And maybe because at the tour is when we go through and do all the question stuff. But I'm going to try to do your questions and monitor from the chat room, too. Okay? It's just a matter of how things are spread out. So we'll try to work this out because we're going to try to cover and do a bunch of things. Now, notice I'll be switching back and forth. See that? That's the desktop. Okay, I'll be using Wirecast software, using it directly with our broadcasting setup to switch between the desktop and the mixer because I don't have Vic to do it. So we're doing a special thing here, and I'll be in control of it myself. Let me tell you what we're doing. We're going to be doing a very, very special broadcast, and we think it's going to be informative. And what happened was I was talking to Mac about this, and I decided I had to do it as a show. So we're capturing it, recording it, doing everything, broadcasting it live, the live stream, because it's all about upgrading and integrating the latest stuff. And since it was actually caused because Mac was having some problems. What happened was he was having some problems with his own player. And so that necessitated all these things. But the whole point is, those of you who are tuning into this broadcast, there's going to be something for everyone. Because if you are someone who's trying to sell a book, trying to sell quilts, fly fishing equipment, whatever you're trying to do, these are the methods that you use to promote it. And the methods that we talk about, even though tonight it's applying to really fixing shit at OnlineWithMac.Ning.com. The methods that we talk about, and I'll make it apply as we go along, actually apply to everyone who's attempting to promote anything. And that's why I told Mac I wanted to do it as a show, because there was so much to this issue and that everybody could get something from it. So we're going to be putting it out there and create your label. We're going to be putting it out there for people to look. And what you're going to actually see is we're going to attempt to go to Mac's site. Mac has already emailed me all the login stuff, everything. So we should be able to go in and actually make all this stuff in real time. Real time, right here in front of you. I have been busy working my other job, and so tired, so now I have a free night, and so I can totally focus on this. So there's no rush, and we're going to do it in real time, but watch. You'll be surprised how long it takes. Let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go to Mac's website. We're going to look at it quickly, and I'm going to explain to you what the issue was. Then I'm going to show you how to create a podcast. And you're going to say, well, I don't have a podcast. Well, you probably will. Because remember, Paxter, we always tell you how to do things. If you're trying to sell a book, trying to sell quilts, flowers, whatever, you'll be making at least videos, and audios from those videos will be used to make podcasts. But you also make video podcasts. We'll talk all about that. No matter what you're trying to sell, you're going to use these same methods, using Facebook, social media, YouTube, Twitter, all those things to promote. And so you're going to have a podcast even if you never thought that you would. Okay? Trust me. That's why I say we're different. Now, as part of that podcast, we're going to show you how the podcast setup that we're going to use, which is hipcast.com, is going to allow you to generate automatically. See, it's going to do a lot of the work for you. One of the things you're going to hear me repeating throughout the night over and over again is the issue of getting the right tools. Getting the right tools for the right situation. So in this, you're going to be getting the right tools because, because Excuse me, I just noticed something. I'm going to fix that. You're going to be getting the right tools. I'm going to fix the camera because we're going to show you what tools to use. Hold on. That's the wrong camera. Oh, okay. All right, sorry, you guys. I'm alone here today, so I have to double check stuff myself. Okay, I checked it. All right, so we're going to be showing you the right tools to use. All right, now here's where it's going to work. Like I said, we're going to go take a look at Mac's site, then we're going to go do the podcast, which is going to generate an RSS feed. Then we're going to go look at how we use this. And we're going to immediately update the player, make a player for Mac's website, install the player. All right, we're also at the same time going to update his app. In the same way that we would do it for you or any client, or we would tell you to do it for yourself. And then ultimately everything comes back to embedding everything back at the website. So you're going to see us make the podcast. Now, what's the benefit of a podcast? One of the benefits is that it shows up in iTunes. Don't you want to show up in iTunes? And you say, well, Mario, let me see, what benefit does it? Well, when you go to iTunes, and I'm pulling it up. Look, I'll switch to the desktop. See, I'm pulling up iTunes. And I'm going to show you the benefit. It's about promotion. Now, Mac needs a sailboat. Now, I assume that making Mac famous will help to make him money. Now, maybe not, but we assume that making Mac famous will help him make money. And so the idea is to get him promotion. So what we're trying to apply to Mac McAllister is every methodology that we have at hand. And why? Because he is the G&M Bureau Chief up there in Port Townsend. And it's a wonderful broadcast. And he's worthy of all this. Now take a look. Here's the iTunes Store, for example. Go search in the iTunes Store, Pack Stereo. Okay? Because I want you to see this. Now notice what comes up is all the podcasts. See that we do. Now, I didn't really do all this work independently. It was all done automatically by using the right tools. Now we want to have ultimately all of our associates to at least have the choices of whether or not to have these types of things. Just like we were talking to Mac too about the whole issue of registering his broadcasts, and so that in the future he could do ads. Remember, the assumption is to give him choices. And so we have investigated software that does that, software that does billing for ads, all of that stuff. And just, so all those things will be talked about in the future. But I wanted you to see this, okay, because this is iTunes. Now check this out. What happens if you go at iTunes and search Mario Hemsley? My goodness, there's the free app. See that? Pi. Wow. This is what we want for all of you. This is what we want for all of you to get this kind of listing connection into iTunes, because we assume that's going to be helpful. Okay? And so now this is part of why we're doing this setup with Hipcast, because these tools will allow you to get your podcasts available on iTunes. And we'll give you updates on how we're doing, because we actually are attempting to get like 5 or 6 of them as we speak. Okay? But I wanted you to see that because this is part of the benefit of doing these things. Let me pull this back up. Now, where's my page? Okay? All right, everybody. So that's what we're going to try. And this is called Mario Fixes Shit. Going to also be on Create Your Label. And remember, the site that we're looking at here, is OnlineWithMac.Ning.com. It's a site where Mac McAllister, G&M Bureau Chief, much studied brother, who studied at the Sorbonne, and just a photographer and artiste, 73 years old. He is our emeriti Jedi Knight. And so even though he claims he's not technical, he also does 3D animations, blah, blah, blah. So at his site, which he runs himself, he had an issue where all of a sudden he could not upload his broadcasts. Okay? This was the issue. It was going into this player. Now, I went, as part of this, he connected me into the website. I was able to go in and connect. Let me go in and log in here. I might as well go in and log in here. Because part of this Let me put it on this one. Part of this whole thing was that Mac was having troubles at the site. Mac McAllister Communications. Okay, I'm just trying to get into his stuff. Let's see if that. I hope that's too heavy. We'll have to call that one. Answer that after. All right. First, while we're doing this, I got to get into Mac. Excuse me. I got to. Hold on a second. I got to go back and get my email. Got to go back and get my email while we're talking. Sorry, Mac. I meant that. What happened was I had some of this stuff on the computer in the house. So remember, this is a real-time event. Okay, this is a real-time event. And I have to, hold on. Yahoo. Yeah, you guys. So what we're going to do, I'm going to be into Mac's trying to do right now. Have to go and set this computer up to get in there. All right, Mac, you in there? How you doing, Mac? You in the chat room there? All right, so far I want everybody to understand. Now, part of the issue as part of I was attempting to diagnose this, I went to look at the whole setup for Ning and its music player. And the whole issue is that it doesn't have a lot of the feature sets. And that's what was the big deal. It just doesn't. And they need to fix that and add some things to it. But it just doesn't have the feature sets. And so, for example, what do you mean by that? It doesn't allow you to go to individual, okay, you can't, it doesn't make any kind of a stream other than when you play it. For example, you can't get it to play in any smartphone. You can't pull up Mac's website on any smartphone, any tablet, any of those, have it replay. And that was a major deal to me, okay? And that was part of the issue with the player. And also with other features, it doesn't allow me to get to each track and do different things to each track. It does the minimum. It really does the minimum. It allows you to put them in a different order. You can upload them. The other thing is that there's a 20 megabyte limit. There's a 20 megabyte limit in that player. Now, Mac will say, well, I've been uploading my show for a year, and it's not 20, it's over 20 megabytes. Mac, yes, you have. You found a glitch in their system. Over the years, I found glitches in systems too. For example, I remember there were sites when they had limits on the amount of files you could have in a site where I would go over it, crazy over it. Like they would have a 10 megabyte limit, they would say, and I would have 160 megabytes. But Mac, you can't go back and tell them, oh, I did that, because they don't want to hear that. That's a glitch in their system, okay? So you can't go and tell them, because Mac was doing an hour show, and roughly, and then he was, I assume he was uploading 128 kilobyte per second MP3 file, a 128 MP3 file that you guys know, standard MP3 file. Now, roughly those are 1 megabytes per minute. That means that when he did roughly a 1 hour show, he was going to have roughly a 60 megabyte upload, okay, if it was a 1 hour show, well over their limits. So part of the issue is that when he had trouble, it may have been that one day they fixed that glitch in their software, but one day he couldn't upload, okay, Maxie. So one day Mac can no longer upload the soft into the player. But you have to understand, I went in and looked at the player, and he already has been breaking all the player rules. So, Mac, first thing, you're not allowed to upload files as long as you are. The way you were getting it through is through a glitch. Okay? All right? Now, the other places I was telling Mac to put to actually put the track, to do his whole music thing. My philosophy, you have to understand, is I don't use the music player at Ning because I considered it rudimentary, okay, without a good feature set. Plus, they charge you $10 a month. Okay, now, Hipcast is $5 a month, and it allows you full feature sets. Okay, but I have to explain how we're going to do this. But this is, well, let's go back to Mac's site, because I still got to go get my logins back to your website, but we'll come back to that, because that was on the other computer in the house. Okay, but anyway, so we'll come back to that. But here, take a look. Let me switch it. Okay, take a look. All right, so here's the player. Okay, here's Mac's old player, this nice looking red one here, see? And it's nice. He can upload it. It allows him a graphic, okay, and he gets to reorder them, okay? But there's a lot more that can be done. Now, above this is a temporary player that I installed that we get to dress up. It's like a plain wrap for now. And Mac put a graphic above it. Very nice, Mac. But it's a plain wrap for now. But my idea is to replace this player, not use it at all. There's system, none of it. Okay, that's what I was trying to tell. Because there's no way to fix parts of that. It's just the way it's designed. You can use it. So my thing was drop this, get rid of the service, go with another custom player, build a whole different system. Now, it was challenging, the idea of this to Mac, because remember, he was used to this. To him, it was simple. But remember, it didn't allow me or anyone, when you go to Mac's site on a tablet or a smartphone, you can't see this music or hear it at all. Nothing. His player, nothing. Okay? And that is a major issue. Because that could be different with the other players. And it is different. With everything we're about to do today, the other main feature is that besides making things available immediately for iTunes, it allows us and presents to us all the things we need to have Mac's broadcast play in every kind of device. Smartphone, everything. Tablet, everything. So that's the other benefit. Plus, it's half the price. Okay? Now, what's the difference? He has to learn to interact with a different place to put his music. He's going to interact with a whole different place. And then we're going to put a player back at his website. Okay? So this one that you see down here, that's nice and red one, we're going to be taking that out. Okay? Replacing it with another player. Okay? Which we're going to control and dictate today. Okay? Now, I think I brought out, let me just make sure. I tried to get ready for this broadcast. Y'all know this is impromptu. I got my Coca-Cola. I got my banana nut bread. And I got my notes here. Okay. Okay, yeah, Mac, I got my, here it is. Okay. All right. All right, you guys. So let's go take a look and go to the setup, because we showed you what was the issue here. So Mac was able to get his latest broadcast in, but there's all kind of troubles. And remember, part of the issue is 20 megabyte limit. Even though he's getting around it, not set up to do the other stuff, can't fix that, abandon it. Okay, so and then the whole thing is that we use a different setup, and then we make the player at a different place. Okay, all right. So now that I said that, so that's the plan. That's the plan. That's what we play. Now, what Mac did is that he made the account. He made the account at Hipcast. Now, Hipcast. What happened was I went looking, and as I always look, you guys got to get in this habit of too. You got to do the Google searches because you actually get the same information. I was looking for how to do podcasts. And you say, what's a podcast? Well, it really is the same thing. It's just a recording. When you call it a podcast, it's a podcast. Okay, Mac does a 1 hour show. He does it with, I assume he mixes it by taking a bunch of the music tracks and pulling them into the software, and then he records the voiceover. Now, Mac, understand that if you recorded your voiceover segments as separate little pieces, okay, and then arranged your broadcast within other software, that opens up other possibilities. I'm just going to throw that out there for now. That's something separate. But that's what's required for you to become legal and registered. You couldn't do a 1 hour broadcast that's all 1 hour. But you could song into the software. And this is the way it's actually usually done for people online. They upload every song and keep their library online. Then they record their voice pieces and upload them. They arrange the whole thing online, and then it's done like that. That's how it's typically done. Okay, not that you have to do that, but in your spare time, you may want to play around with it. That's what I was telling you. You may want to play around with pulling your library online and setting up those things, because that's how it's typically done online. That the software can tell when you're playing what and make the automatic notifications. So you could be legal for $23 a month. But it has to be done like that. Okay, that's what you understand. For everybody else to implicate that too. If you're doing your stuff by making like a 1 hour mix, like say you sit down at your mixer and you mix for an hour and make one long MP3, you can't use that to register, because the systems won't allow you to use that as a legal broadcast per se, because they can't track the tracks within your stuff. Ones, you have to always have a music library pretty much online. Make your voiceover pieces, drop that in between, sort it all online, and then it could actually be legal by using streamlicensing.com. That's the site we talked about again. I'll show you real quickly because I don't want to go off on that. But streamlicensing.com. So you can license your streams there. Okay? And it would be like $23, $22.50 a month. Okay? All right, I'm just mentioning now. Let's go back to here. So now he went to HipCap. We're going to go to HipCast. We're going to log in. Now again, what is HipCast? HipCast is a place to host audio and video podcasts. Okay, now let me tell you something. Let me tell you the Mario Hemsley approach. It's a little different. And it may make a difference to you because I'm sending you to do stuff. Some sites are learning opportunities that are good life skills. In other words, some sites, learning how to navigate them, that learning will help you in a bunch of other areas. Okay? Like Facebook. Okay? Twitter. Okay? In the modern day, almost necessities. And we're going to also show you how to set up so that your software automatically tweets and does certain things, certain postings. But we want to encourage you to do, and more importantly, we're going to tell you why. But anyway, HipCast allows you to publish audio, video podcasts from the cloud. Look what we're talking about. Okay? Look at the plans and pricing. Okay, they have a 7-day free trial, then one that's $4.95 a month. That's the one I'm using. And here's the thing. When my goes up, it'll kick up to $10 a month. I never have to spend more than $10 a month. You can go for the other features if you want, but you don't have to. Okay, it has to do with how much storage you use tracks. And whether Mac may need more storage for his library depending upon how many tracks he puts up at HipCast. Okay? That's where the money comes in. Okay? But it's all about the storage, okay? But I have the $4.95 blah, blah. So that's one of the things. Now, it has a ton of features. Let's go back. What are the features? Okay? First of all, it automatically for you will generate pages, a podcast page, which we're not going to use even that, but it will generate that. So it'll generate like a website, a site page for your podcast. And it does it automatically for every episode anyway, okay? Then it also allows you to submit it to iTunes, and it has that built in for you. Okay? All of those things, all right? And remember, the length of the podcast here is not an issue, Mac. It's no 20 megabyte limit. See? Okay? It's not an issue. See, that's just so full control. And it automatically generates the RSS feeds. Very important, because that RSS feed is what I tie into the other software to showcase Mac's presentation. Okay? So let's log in. Okay, meanwhile, while I'm logging in, you can look at me while I'm logging in. Let's see. We'll see if we're in here. Okay, here we are. We're in. Let's go back. I have banana nut bread. Now, so let's talk about HipCast. Because the first thing I know Mac said, I was, it's too much shit. See, Mac, See, first of all, Mac worked 3D software. He worked iClone. Has anybody worked iClone? Where you plug in dancing things, all this. So he can work that. He can work. See, first of all, it's a matter of whether you guys want to. So don't try to give me that, because I know how they work. He already works complicated stuff. But the whole idea is these are complicated sites. And the whole idea is I'm going to give you the overview and the approach as we actually do this. All right? Hipcast.com. Make your $5 account. Now, Mac was able to upload, but I don't know how he did it. Typically, you go right here where it says audio, and then it has upload audio. See, now notice here's the audios that he's already uploaded. Okay? But here's the upload audio button. You would hit this button. It switches to this, okay? And this is where you would upload your files, okay, into the software. Now, what we wanted Mac to do was to upload, maybe 10 episodes. Because if you notice, back at his website, he has like, how many episodes can you listen to? I think 11. So my thing, I was saying, Mac, we would want, put more episodes, and we would have 11. We're 10. Sorry, I had to sip my. I know it's loud. I'm sorry. I'm so comedic. All right, but so Mac has got this here. Okay, now, so he got that far, but that's as far as he got, and that was still good. Okay, so it allows you to upload your podcast. Now, there's a lot of features. You got to take these kinds of sites, and you got to take them with a deep breath and learn a bit. But this is a life skill. I want to make Mac to understand that I wasn't throwing this at him lightly. It was actually, I knew it was kind of a long-term commitment. But I think it's worthy once I show him, because I also worked it myself for the last month just to see. Never throw stuff at you guys. Now, here's the episode. Here's the audio he uploaded, right? When you upload, once again, you go to upload audio page, okay? Here's his audio he's already uploaded. I went to that and clicked on one. Now it gives me the information on that audio. Okay? It has the download statistics. Okay? It tells me the time it is, how many megabytes. Now remember, I told you a 128 kilobyte per second MP3 file should be about 1 megabyte per minute. I actually went and looked online, and it's 0.9375 megabytes per minute. Okay? Sometimes this is extra data. Okay? So that shows you roughly. So it's going to be big, but it doesn't make any difference. Okay? Now look at the tabs. Always look at these. Just at least look. This shows you history. Okay? This really talks about shows you the track, the data's recorded. Edit description. This is where Mac, he actually did put a description, even though I think this is what they would call metadata, Mac. This is what they would actually call metadata. Okay, so they actually would be called end of year shows. So let's say let's write it, end of the year broadcast. Now remember, in terms of your audio description, it's always best for statistical reasons to put a link to your website. So we would say www.onlinewithmac.ning.com. Okay, retro jazz and blues. Okay, so that's the audio. Now here's the thing: he does it weekly, right? So does it need a date? Kind of, because see. Here's the thing, and this thing I was going to tell Mac. To the degree that he's willing to differentiate his episodes, that's the better marketing. What do I mean? In other words, if he says something about the episode, it's Saturday, December 22nd. So we'll go 12. We say December. Let's just say December 22nd. Because the degree that you write it in a way that looks provocative, it's better. So it's better. So the better, for example, sometimes on an episode, Mac will feature certain things that really would be best represented in this information. This is what they call metadata. They didn't really have a picture, Mac, that was on me. They didn't allow you to add a picture for each episode, but they do allow a picture for the broadcast. We'll come to that. But so here it really helps you. We'll look at some other people's stuff. But just so you know, and I'll show you some other things later on, and maybe in a different broadcast, there's a bunch of literature about writing your metadata, writing your title, your description, to really get more hits. So now, so that's there. Save changes. Okay, now here's the re-record audio. This is where sometimes you upload, or you can re-record audio. And here's a publish audio tab. Now we'll talk about that. Here's where you would upload an audio if you wanted to add it to a blog, of which he has not set up any blog, or add it to a podcast. He has not set up any podcast. You would do it. Okay? But we're going to come back to this. Okay? Now. So this is this is pretty good. Let's give Mac applause. Yeah, Mac. Yeah, Mac. All right. I know, asshole I am. I am. Okay, so this is a different one. Let's go and add his description, edit his description. This one is, I think, from 12.4. Let's put the same description. Yeah, I copy and paste. But I think this was 12.4. Right? I don't know. Mac, was it 12.4? Okay, what was the date for this one? So, but the audio title is, see, if he doesn't have it, see, typically the title for him is going to be Retro Jazz and Blues. The only reason that one was different, I guess we don't need two quotes. Retro Jazz and Blues. Okay. Now, save changes. Because what you want is to have this look a certain way because it's going to come up in the player. Okay. So now, we go back and go show audio. Look at it shows as his audio. So let's go back and edit this one. Let's go back and say Retro Jazz and Blues. And we'll put like a colon. Retro Jazz. I'm just doing, Mac can go back and change any of this. I always tell the people, go back and change it like you want. Just let me finish it my way and tell you why. Then go back and change it. Feel free. I won't be insulted. I won't be insulted. No, but I just set it up the way I think and tell you guys why so you can see why. Then it's your choice. That's the point. You get to do it your way. But I always give you the way I would do it for me. I really only have one way. This is the exact way mine is. Okay, so if you go to audio now, see Mac, and you have Retro Jazz and Blues into your broadcast, and we have Retro Jazz and Blues. So I would put a date in here. See, I would say Retro Jazz and Blues. See, we don't have a, okay, so let's go back. Retro Jazz and Blues, colon, 12-04. -1. I don't know if it's that one. We'll come back. If that's not the date, Mac, we'll come back, okay? Let me know, okay? We come back. So then the audio. Show, okay, audio. See, I'm changing it. Okay, so that's the way, right. I take my time on this metadata because it makes a big difference. Always I'm starting with the link to the site, description, and title. But what's missing? This is why this is generic metadata. Don't pat yourself on the back for doing this. This is only steady and solid. You pat yourself on the back when you do a short 1 or 2 line description that sounds whimsical. Like a TV guide. Mac, you remember remember TV guide? They would have like a 1-line description in TV guide. Some of you can't remember TV guide. It was a guide. That's what you write. A TV guide description. Okay? That's what you would want. Okay? Now, having done that, part of the issue Mac was having is that he couldn't get it in here. And I said, Mac, the reason why you can't get it in here is because we haven't really gotten to that. You have to first make a podcast. Then we're going to put the podcast into a different site where we're going to then take the podcast. It's going to make an RSS feed. I'm going to go show you 3 places where you can use that RSS feed in an interesting way. Okay? Now, at some point during this, I might take a break and play some music. I don't know. If I do, I'll play good music. Okay? But it depends how long we go. But if I do, it'll just be like 1 track, Mac. Okay? All right. But let's go make the podcast now, okay? All right, the podcast. Da-da-da-da. Now, if you notice, if I go to my blogs, I always look at these things. He has no blogs. If you have a blog, you can integrate it. I went to look if it would work with Ning. It doesn't really look like it. But this way, if you posted a podcast, you could actually make it insert itself into your blog just from here. Okay, he doesn't have a blog. We'll deal with that for later. Right now, we want to do a podcast. Okay, because Mac does a weekly show. We're going to call it a podcast. Okay, so let's, okay, Okay, so we're going to make a new podcast. And the podcast name is he does it the special way, On with Mac. Now we'll call it, quotes, retro, jazz, and blues. We can come back and change this, okay? So the title is, that's the podcast name. Control all copy. The title, okay, I guess that's the title. And the description is the one we got from before. Description is weekly. Let's put the quotes and see if they'll I always try to put it in if they'll let you. Online with Mac. Sometimes they don't let you. Ning.com. Broadcast. Weekly, retro, jazz, and blues. I'm just putting bass stuff. Retro, jazz, and blues. Broadcast. Hosted by Mac McAllister. Okay. Genre, probably music. It's probably not, because see, these genres are not usually specific. Music, okay. Language, English. Artwork, see, this is where you would be good to have the artwork, okay? Let's see. I'm sure I don't have some artwork, but let's go see if we can get some. This is where we get funny. Go to Google. See, we have Mac's site, so we can go to Mac. We could go there, but let's just see if there's some other one. Mac McAllister images. Okay. There's one. There's another one. Let's get that one. Save image. See how I go fast I get? See, we'll call this Little Mac. We'll say Mac McAllister. Okay, so we got that. Here's another one. I would tend to get stuff and crop it and stuff, but what happens is I kind of want just to do enough to get everybody happy. You know, like I kind of want Mac to go there and change all this, okay? That I really do expect you guys to. That's why I just do enough to, you know, make it just enough to get it filled out. Then I expect you to come back, especially when you are an artist like Mac. He's got visual issues that he fit what he wants. You know what I'm saying? I'm just acknowledging that. Okay, so now back at the new podcast. Let's upload the artwork. Browse, pictures. Okay. Default title. We'll deal with that stuff later. www.onlinewithmac.ning.com. Copyright note. I'm going to leave that alone for a minute. Okay. Enable media. Just do it. Automatic